the Gannett review of your performance says that is a sizzling cat in a hot tin roof. How do you prepare for a classic such as this one? What's involved in preparing for it?
Well, given a very short rehearsal period, it actually benefits us to prepare in advance, if we can. There's so much in terms of language in the play, and it's growth from the very beginning of reading the text to the run, actually. So we evolve throughout the run, we feel. In preparation, there's a lot in finding similarities with a character and myself, for instance, as I'm sure Dennis would agree to, and also finding the differences between the character and me. And those are very important things, finding out what other characters say about your character.
With the rehearsal period we mentioned, like this, it's literally 2 weeks of rehearsal. This is not much. So I think we both feel the same way. We like to come in with as much of the language down as possible. There are pitfalls with that. One can be locked into choices about language in the way one reads or hears a line. You may be locked into a way that you're hearing a cue line that's being given to you because you've committed to a way of reading or memorizing a line. So we have to be very aware of those things and beware of those things. But getting the words in you as soon as possible, and with such a great playwright as Williams, and another one comes to mind, Lillian Hellman, who also deals and is of the South and deals with the quirky syntax and such in her language and the things that are so real, quintessentially real. Once you get the words committed, you realize the rhythms and things are all there. And it's the same with Williams. The sooner, as far as I'm concerned, you get those words in your body, the better, the more you're going to learn.
And what do you memory muscles.
Yeah, that's
the rhythms.
There's an awful lot of words.
Yes.
Beautiful words, compelling words.
Gorgeous, compelling words.
How do you commit them to memory? What's the method? It seems impossible to me, especially during that first act when you're both on stage, you're very passive and seething there. Something's happening and nobody knows what it is really, unless you know the play. And you don't stop. It's all you. It's almost a monologue.
You become so impassioned about the circumstances, the given circumstances within the text, that after, as Dennis said, committing oneself technically is what there has to be technical work done first.
What's technical work?
Well, memorization of the text.
Yeah,
just
memorization.
Pure drilling.
How?
One's drilling oneself over and over.
He's wondering about
over
methods.
again.
If you talk to 10 different actors, they'll have 10 different ways to do it.
Absolutely.
Personally, for me, I like to do mornings and nights. I will get up first thing in the morning, go over a passage of text, simply read through it, and then I'll as I memorize, I'll pick a little bit more ahead of myself, and then go back and re-review. And I also memorize at night before I go to bed, and it tends to sink in better that way. Some actors will tape their cues on a tape, an audio tape, and leave spaces for their responses. They'll do it that way. Everyone has a different method.
Do you do the same thing, Charlene?
I actually am a morning person. I work much better in the morning. I absorb and retain much more so in the morning. I'm good for nothing late at night.
I've often wondered how people doing repertory who in the course of a week can do 3 different plays in different
You compartmentalize. That's what it's all about.
The best analogy I ever heard when I was doing a classical repertory, so 3 plays at a time, people would ask the question, how do you keep from confusing lines from one play to another? The best analogy I heard was, if you are given a baseball, you're not going to go try and play baseball on a basketball court. Each play usually has a very different environment, a different flavor. If you were doing this play and, say, the next play, the Stoppard's The Real Thing that's coming up at Fleetwood.
Wonderful playwright as well.
Different sets, different flavors. The language is different. It's a different taste.
Different
the words.
rhythms, different.
So it really is. It would be like playing baseball on a basketball court.
And there's so much musicality in Williams' text as well. It's just, he orchestrates it so beautifully. And with Maggie, it's, she's sort of runs the gamut vocally. I find that it just
It's very mercurial.
I continue to be amazed.
Louis Alto directed, and
Yes.
of course has been on this program.
Oh, what a
and-
joy to work with him.
Of course, is the man who's behind the whole Fleetwood stage enterprise. He calls Cat on a Hot Tin Roof a director's dream. What does the director give? You're talking about how you become the people who you're playing. What does the director give to you? Do you have to rethink what you predetermined?
Before encountering each other on the first rehearsal.
Yeah.
Very, very
and then
important, again, with this short amount of rehearsal. And let me stress also that certainly for theaters the size of Fleetwood, there's smaller theaters, and even out in the regions now, regional theater, larger regional theaters, what you're finding the trend is there is less money, which means the rehearsal periods get shorter and shorter. It's very sad.
And what a complex play to do in 2 weeks.
We're doing an American epic. This is an epic. And to do it in 2 weeks, the director, and we were so relieved to find that Louis Arlt had his material together.
He laid a wonderful foundation.
Yes, very important in a situation like this where you have so little time that the director set a very strong foundation, a strong groundwork, meaning the staging, the blocking, where you move at what time, the basic idea of who goes where on stage, and good ideas about what direction he wants characters going in, the tone of a scene. He has to have all of that down. And an
Within the
understanding
givens of his own vision, of course.
And an understanding of the text, obviously. And you'd be surprised how few good directors there are out there. There are pitifully few who know what's going on in the text and have strong ideas.
Well, being an actor and a writer as well as a director,
Yes.
he certainly
He's got a good background.
is
He's very gifted.
completely involved in that. The play is also visual. We talk about the beauty of the words. We talk about the conflicts and the tension. But it's visual. You wear a cast on your leg throughout the whole play. I have to talk to you about that cast.
Yes,
but what does that do to you is in limiting your... Well, certainly it has a lot to do with your mobility because it's very much a part of it.
Yes. You talk about getting ready, preparing for a character. About the best preparation I had for this character, the afternoon before first rehearsal, I had to have a plaster cast put on my leg. There's no getting around that.
When they say break a leg in the theater, that's what they're talking about.
Perfectly did. And I had to wear it overnight and have it cut off literally about an hour before the first. In fact, we showed up slightly late for the first rehearsal because I was having a cast cut off of my leg. The feeling, the powerless feeling, the debilitization, am I making up words, of having a cast on your leg, being in that weakened, prone position, that's what I should say. It's very interesting. Hobbling around the house that night and having my lovely wife, Charlene, not quite she was bringing dinner to me and things like that.
It was a nice feeling.
Yeah, well, very interesting feeling, though, and it actually was a good sense sort of memory thing to use for the play. You look at what Williams does with this character, Brick. I'm going to be selfish for a moment. What happens here? He puts him in a completely prone position, exposed. What is he wearing? He's wearing a bathrobe for the first part of the scene. Then he wears white silk pajamas. These aren't accidents that Williams has written these things. And he has a cast on his leg for the entire play, in which a lot of stuff is going to be exposed.
Including the curtain call.
That's right, yes. I've learned to hop very fast.
Curtain call,
But nothing is taken for granted, with a good playwright, particularly Williams. Things in the text, repetitions, punctuations of words, it's very interesting to see what comes out. You really
He's
dig.
very clear.
Yeah, but the cast and such, it's not haphazard. It's there for a reason.
What do you mean when you say he's very clear? That's all right in there?
Everything's in there. And the more you go back to the beginning of the text and it's, oh my God, he says this, that refers to this, that refers to this here. And it's just his numbers, all the numbers and colors fit.
It's a tapestry. He's woven.
It's just so beautifully woven.
You both talked about finding the characters within yourselves. You talked about it being at home with the cast on. You talked about out of your own life and everything that went into it. how much? How about the people who went before you? I mean, everybody remembers Elizabeth Taylor.
Wonderful
in the film.
Maggie.
And
a beautiful Maggie.
So the question really is, and Paul Newman, of course, played the role Brick in the film. Do you see them? I mean, do you see them in your mind? Have you seen the film, by the way?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I've seen the film a number of times.
Yeah.
And I've also seen on tape Elizabeth Ashley. I've seen Jessica Lange play Maggie. I find it very important. I know every actor feels very differently about this, but for me, I find it very important to watch other actors at work. You learn about their work, you learn about yourself.
But you're not imitating.
Never. I don't find that I would ever imitate. It's not me to imitate. I think I'm comfortable with my own resources, that I can bring my own life to it. There are similarities where I say, oh, this is interesting. This is something that I've seen maybe Elizabeth do, or maybe Elizabeth Taylor, that is, or Elizabeth Ashley, or Jessica Lange, or maybe, oh, does this sound like? There are reminders, of course, but we all have our own unique energy, and you cannot help with the wealth that you're given, that Williams gives us, each actor. You cannot. One's compelled. I felt compelled to bring my own energy. I had no choice. There weren't too many lines to learn without taking the time to try to imitate or impersonate someone else. That's really not, what I as an actor am about.
But you feel that seeing the others who have done it before is helpful to you.
Always
as
learning.
As opposed to some people who don't believe in doing that.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's important for actors to watch other masters,
Right.
of the craft work.
Yeah.
Very vital. Male and female for me. It's vital.
It broadens your range of play. You're able to seeing very good and very poor performances. Mm-hmm. It really broadens your field of play. You see the possibilities. Seeing a great theatrical performance, or a great dance performance, or a great sporting event, for goodness sake, they're all applicable. See where humanity expands and contracts and how it works.
Acting is not just going up there and performing. There's a lot internally that happens to you. I do want to get into something else, but first I do want to remind our audience that we're talking today about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which is at Fleetwood Stage in Wildcliff. And it runs, if you're lucky enough to have seen it or to see it, it runs through October 12th. My guests today are Charlene Hunter and Dennis Rees, husband and wife off stage, stars of the show on stage. I do want to tell you at this point about the rest of the Fleetwood Stage schedule. The Real Thing, Tom Stoppard's November 6th to November 23rd. Mass Appeal, February 26th to March 15th. Intimate Exchange, which is Alan Ayckbourn, great writer, April 30th to May 17th. If you're interested in more information, we certainly can't cover everything in the small amount of time that we have, with two people who are so verbal and so interesting. The number to call is 914-654-8533. And we'll put up in the closing credits, so you can write that down if you haven't gotten it.
A very important number to remember.
654-8533.
It's Fleetwood Stage. We're just so pleased
memorize
Oh, we do love Fleetwood, actually. We love the people there.
And they're in their 5th year in a new theater.
Yes.
A beautiful theater.
Wonderful
yes.
theater. And
kudos to Louis Arlt, Gene Minko.
Yes, absolutely. Gene, great. Managing director, wonderful. Tying everything together.
Nelson Sheely, artistic director.
Yes.
Wonderful people, wonderful spirit. I want to let the people in this community know, now that Fleetwood is in New Rochelle, it's a wonderful neighbor you have. And great spirit, great heart behind this theater. It It really is, and it's a joy
and needs
to
your
work
support.
there. Yeah, always.
Absolutely.
The point I wanted to get to in this, there are a lot of problems. There's mendacity, a word that's used a lot, lying, telling the truth. Big Daddy, Burl Ives, of course, played that, originated it on the stage and then in the film as well. There's a lot of things going on. Certainly a tremendous scene between you and him when a lot of it comes out. There's a subject of sexuality that was not as open in 1955 when it was first played, and certainly not as open in the film. It was changed a lot in the film. Right. Today, there's an underlying current in that which I think is very, very important to it, and yet not resolved.
Right. Yeah. It's yes, and as you mentioned earlier, I think off the air, the end of the play is not completely resolved. It's there's not without getting too specific, giving away the ends of things. Will he? Won't he?
Yes.
That sort of thing. It's very Ibsen in that respect,
yes.
And Lewis Arlt was very particular in leaving it with that ambiguity. What will happen at the end of this play? There are all sorts of issues of sexuality that are not. People, when you play a role like this, they say, "Are you or aren't you? Are you or aren't you gay? You know, in the role, have you or have you not? Do you or don't you? That sort of thing. That's fine. I don't really like to give away a lot of information like that.
Or they will make snap judgment and say, you are.
Yeah, and
I really believe that he is.
One of the most important lines in the play, and speaking from my character's point of view, and Lewis Arlt's point of view also, is when my character says, speaking of the relationship between myself and this other character that is spoken of, it's an interesting situation in this play. There's really a third party in this relationship between Maggie and Brick, and that is Skipper, this old teammate and longtime friend of Brick's, who has passed away. And regarding the relationship, the friendship, as I put it, stressed so often, friendship that the two male characters had, I say it was a pure and true thing, and that's not normal. I'm speaking in reference to all the other folks who have made judgments about it not being right, not normal.
Even including Maggie. You accuse Maggie of naming it dirty.
And when
she
at one
denies
point,
it, I'm not.
When at one point
dirty.
Big Daddy says to me, "Well, nobody has said that it's not normal, or that that it isn't normal." I say they're mistaken. It was. In other words, it was not normal. It was a pure and true thing, and that's not normal. And it's pathetic.
Not by society's standards.
Relationship. It's not whether it's male or female. I say to Big Daddy, normal? No, I say it was too rare to be normal. Any true thing between two people is too rare to be normal. That applies across the board. I mean, this play has such reverberations. Talk about a big play. It's a big play on a 28,000-acre plantation. Big Daddy, Big Mama, the characters are. Brick, Maggie, the cat.
And there are no heroes, and there are no villains.
No.
Some of the characters may be looked at negatively, but that changes. That changes, and things are resolved, and yet they're not resolved.
Right.
And it's full of surprises.
Yeah.
And there are big moments for virtually everybody in it.
Yeah. It's a wonderful cast we're working with too. Really, the cast that Fleetwood has brought, and particularly Lewis Arlt has brought together, is phenomenal.
Dennis Parlato's a wonderful Big Daddy.
Well, of course, Dennis Parlato, who plays Big Daddy, did Two Rooms, which was a few years ago one of the really great plays that they did there in a very limited circumstance. I had the pleasure of seeing it, and it didn't look like a theater. It was just a bare stage with a pad in it, and it was so effective, and he was so great.
I understand he was riveting.
It's a great play.
It's the beauty of theater. I mean, it's not film. You know, it's
live theater.
It's real live human beings up there, and it changes nightly.
It does. It does. Absolutely.
So how do you feel about the audience? Do you know the audience is there? Do you hear them? Do you feel them? Do you sense them?
Cannot help but feel and sense them. and occasionally see them and hear them, of course, but definitely feel and sense. There's so
Not
much
distracting
give and
to you, say, hear them?
No, I find that, especially with this play, I find them, they're right with us. They really are. They're listening. Sunday evening, for example, we didn't have what initially might not have been considered a very responsive audience as perhaps the matinee or Saturday evening, but they were listening, and they were listening very keenly.
Very quiet. It's very quiet. I don't generally like heavy drama. I go for escape, and I like to be entertained. I was riveted.
Well,
pleased.
what's interesting, this tapestry, as you mentioned, that Williams has woven, it is not just a drama.
No.
There's so much humor in this play. It's amazing. You will
Through
have
the drama.
Yeah, these characters that are all, have their serious moments, but are all so funny and quirky in the reality of it.
Well, he's such a master, as what I would term a master of the human condition.
There are lights and darks to everyone, and it's...
What happens, I often wonder about, what happens when you're not on stage? You're off stage quite a bit during the second act. Do you stay in character? Do you get out of character? Do you... someone once told me that in a Broadway show that she was in, some of the people who were off for a while used to play bridge until they missed their cues and bridge was banned.
Right.
It depends. It depends on
how long you're off and so on.
Yeah, on the character. I try to keep within, even if I'm going through my little Charlene activities, I do try to maintain some sense of decorum with Maggie. It helps. It certainly does help.
You have to understand, too, with a short run like this, it's a relatively short run of maybe 3 weeks, you tend to cherish each performance and try and focus more than you would say over, if you're in a 2-year run, you might be off playing bridge, and depending on the nature of your role. And I find it's nice to be a little bit loose backstage, not completely ironclad into your thing. It's a little restrictive that way. I like to be loose, and I found some of the times I've had my best acts is where I've been off just joking with someone, and actually had some very funny things going on, and then just rather loose that way.
Yeah, I think it all depends.
But from the audience's viewpoint, you're never off stage. You mentioned, of course, that one character never appears, and yet he's important. Right. He's really there. His presence is there. Yeah. When you're off stage, you're there. Yeah. Very much. And when you're off stage, when you disappear out on the veranda, you're really there.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you do your costume changes right on stage. You get undressed and get dressed.
That's another thing. We talked about getting the technical work under our belt in the beginning. Right. Working with props and costumes. It's very important to work with those elements very early, because we need to find an ease with them. And to integrate them so that it doesn't look like what I felt I was doing the week before we opened it was all about work. It was very static. And the audience doesn't want to see that. They want to see life on stage.
Talk about props. That powder puff is so great. It makes such a statement. There are so many things that happen there that establish who you are and who the character thinks of herself. And I mean, there's so much in there. So many statements are made about the character with that powder puff.
Oh, I'm pleased. Thank you.
There's a great responsibility when one gets on stage, and unfortunately many actors don't take that or respect or understand that responsibility. Every moment you're on stage, every gesture, everything you do or say makes an impact in one way or another.
The audience is very intelligent.
Every time I pick out an ice cube, I know when I put ice in my drink and when I don't, at which point in the play. When it becomes so intense and when I'm more, when I'm trying to play it cool and use ice cubes, and perhaps later I don't use as many ice cubes because I'm now intent on getting drunk and hearing that click.
Not apparent to me in the audience.
No.
But very, 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 very important to you.
It goes into
that the timing and the frequency of the ice cubes.
How much I drink. I know how much I drink. I have a certain amount I drink, and I know when I've drunk more or less in that performance. There's some performances I'm more drunk than others. Excuse me.
So that what the audience
Dennis,
sees.
what are you drinking?
Bourbon. No.
Tea?
Yeah, I'm drinking tea. It's interesting, but you begin to think it's alcohol after a while. I do.
I hid that vodka sign, though.
Yeah, that's right. We used to have, before we got into performances, it was funny, we were still in the rehearsal stage, we would only have one bottle of tea prepared for me because I thought, well, I'm going to see if I can keep it to one bottle. Well, I haven't been able to. I always kick into the second bottle. So by the end of the play and rehearsals, we would tend to go into the second bottle, which was clear, which was water, in a vodka bottle. And so all I could think of as I'm drinking is towards the end of the play, great, I've just had a bottle of bourbon, I'm following up with a chaser of vodka.
Well, all I can think of is that we've run out of time, and talk about a chaser. We'll be chased by the next program which follows us.
Right.
And you're so great to talk to them. We've learned so much. And
Thank
pleasure.
you. It's a
value
pleasure.
so
It's
much
ours.
that you came here. And I do want to remind our audience that what we've been talking about is Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. We have two of the stars here today. It's a great show. I hope you had an opportunity to see it, and just go see the Fleetwood stage this year. They have wonderful, wonderful performances. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. And until next time, enjoy yourself.